For those of you who watched my video on the lore of the Kanto region, you may remember a portion of that video where I sent myself down a short rabbit hole about the Moonstone, and how all the Pokemon that evolve using it in Kanto can be naturally found in the Mount Moon area. I could have just let it go as a cool piece of world building and moved on. I really should have just moved on. Instead, I decided to see if I could expand that research across every region, every Pokemon that evolves with the Moonstone, and every Moonstone location in the entire series to find out exactly how and why these things are connected to the Moonstone, and in essence, what the Moonstone symbolizes. This topic probably didn't deserve the time or effort I put into it, but the sunk cost fallacy is at an all-time high, so I've just decided to go all in on the Moonstone. If this needless yet still interesting deep dive somehow interests you and you'd like to see more stuff like this, then check out the other videos I have on the channel. Now let's talk about the Moonstone, or to start, the Pokemon that evolve using it. The first such Pokemon we'll discuss, and probably the one most closely associated with the Moonstone, is Clefairy. Clefairy is introduced in Generation 1 as a strange alien Pokemon. Literally, it was implied throughout the Generation 1 games and beyond that Clefairy, Clefable, and eventually their baby form Cleffa came from space. Specifically, the Moon. In Kanto, these Pokemon are theorized to have come to Earth with the crashed meteorite that gave Mount Moon its name. Mount Moon specifically seems to be a lightning rod for interstellar activity, as a couple of small meteors are shown to have crashed along Route 3 before the events of Heart Gold and Soul Silver. This abundance of space junk is probably why so many Pokemon associated with the Moonstone can be found in its area. While further use of these Pokemon in other regions don't share their specific connections, a more general one is given with Cleffa's entry from Gold version. This would line up with the previous assertion about the Clefairy line. It extends to fit the lore of any region. Other Pokedex entries specify that Cleffa are actually more commonly sighted during and around meteor showers, a piece of evidence that supports this claim even more. So that is how the Clefairy line came to colonize our planet, coming down to Earth on meteorites. Clefable's large ears are referential to a common myth in Asian cultures about a rabbit who lives on the moon, a cultural equivalent to the man on the moon we're familiar with in the West. Quite a few of the Moonstone Pokemon actually reference this. Wigglytuff, for example, just looks like a rabbit. The Dex entries for the Nidoran line also continually bring attention to the Pokemon's large ears, another clear connection to rabbits. Going further down the Nidoran line, they're meant to be kaiju, and it's a common trope in kaiju media for monsters that come from space, such as King Ghidorah and Gigan. Munna received part of their name from the moon, with the latter part of their name coming from the word Luna. While it doesn't evolve from the Moonstone, Lunatones are also occasionally found holding them. Lunatones not only look like small moons themselves, but are another Pokemon implied to have in some way come from space. Moonstones are also often found at locations that have objects fall from space, including Hoenn's Meteor Falls and Unova's Giant Chasm. Alongside that, they're found all over Galar, a region that has wishing stars falling from the sky due to the presence of yet another extraterrestrial Pokemon. So that settles it, right? Moonstones are linked to space. Well, not so fast. There are plenty of appearances of Moonstones and Moonstone Pokemon that are included in areas without a direct connection to space. There's also Skitty, who I haven't mentioned yet, mostly because I can't really find a connection between this cat and space. While encounters of the extraterrestrial are certainly a theme connected to the Moonstone, it doesn't explain everything. Alongside a space theme from earlier, further uses of the Moonstone can be connected to mountains and sleep. A running theme in the games is Moonstones being found in large mountain areas. There's usually at least one major mountain in every region, and for Kanto and Hoenn, those areas are linked to space, the previously mentioned Mount Moon and Meteor Falls. However, this isn't true in every region. Moonstones can also be found in or near Johto's Tojo Falls, Sinnoh's Mount Coronet, Unova's Twist and Reversal Mountains, Kalos's Reflection and Terminus Caves, Alola's Wella Volcano, and Kitakami's Oni Mountain. While not all of these areas are connected to space, they are all mountains and caves reminiscent of Mount Moon. That said, the series may be implying a connection between mountains and space in general, as extraterrestrial Pokemon like Elgyem, Solrock, and the previously mentioned Lunatone are found in mountainous areas almost every single time. Sleep is also a huge theme with these Pokemon. Muna, the Dream Eater Pokemon, evolves with the Moonstone, and related items and Pokemon can be found in sleepy areas like the Lakes of Sinnoh and Galar's Slumbering Weld. This can then be abstracted further to being connected to the nighttime, which can further expand to areas like Night Sky Edge on Pokewalker, home to Jigglypuff, Clefairy, and the rare randomly occurring Moonstone. Moonstones can also be found near Saffron City, a place which became associated with Dark-type Pokemon in the Johto titles. Ursaluna can also be found holding Moonstones occasionally, and are Pokemon connected to the nighttime more than they are to space. Coming together, the one thing all these recurring themes have in common is the darkness. Dark caves and dark nights. I think that, in Generation 1, it started out with only the space connection, but Game Freak chose to evolve the idea of the Moonstone to have more broad meaning in later generations, likely so they could have a reason to include these things in later regions without forcing in some kind of connection to space in every single new title. There are a few locations that can't be explained away like this, namely the random occurrences of Moonstones and Jigglypuff throughout Paldea, though the appearance of Moonstone in Kid Kami's Crystal Pond may imply an extraterrestrial connection to the terrestrial phenomenon. I don't want to dig into that today. Moonstones have also been a regular item in the pickup pool since the ability was first introduced, which kind of implies they can be found anywhere. The Skitty line's connection to the night is also a little dubious, but Skitty's face is kind of shaped like the symbol for the dark types, so maybe a connection was intended there? Delcatty is also stated in its Emerald Pokedex entry to be nocturnal, but I admit that both of those reasons are a little flimsy. If you have a better explanation for a Skitty and Delcatty that connects to this theory, or even an alternate theme that the Moonstone could represent, please let me know. I would love to hear it. And with that, I'll let you all go. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon.